Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. I believe I'm about to work on the week 4 Seek, Gather, Create challenge. This is a mixed media scavenger hunt challenge that comes from Lisa, Tina, Laura, and Melanie. I will have all their Instagram links below because the majority of it takes place on Instagram. The hostesses will sometimes put videos here as well, but I'm sure you can find their YouTube links on their Instagram. So I'll have those links below, but basically this is a challenge they do twice a year in the winter now, and then in the summer, where for 4 weeks, sometimes 5, but usually just 4, they give 4 prompts a week for you to seek and gather and create with. And so I am ready. This is the last week of this challenge for the winter 2023 edition. And the 4 things they have asked us to gather this week are a map, a moon, something that starts with an M that is not a map or a moon, and a star. So yeah, and I am struggling with coming up with something because I really like what I made this past week on week 3. It's a little matchbox and I'm totally in love with it. So I know I can't probably do anything better than that right now. I'm a little chaotic at the moment. So I thought I will try to keep it simple as possible and just make something. So let me tell you what I've gathered. For map, you can see I have this map that is either, I don't know if it's rust or coffee dyed. It has been altered in some way by me. So it looks, based on this little bit here, like maybe a rust dye. So I've got that, but in my searching for things, I also found this napkin that has like a map on it. So it's like a globe, which I consider to be a map. And the background is all map as well. So that's an option. And then again, in searching, I found this. It's like a sticker that you put on the inside, a book plate sticker that has like map stuff on it. So I might use all of those, some of those. For moon, this image kept coming in my head. So I've got 2 different versions of it. I probably got these images either from Dover or from the Graphics Fairy. I'm not sure which. It's just something in one of my files. And so this image kept coming to my mind, but you can see almost everything I found that was moon related in my stash was Halloween themed, and that, whew, I'm not ready for Halloween yet. So it's still February. So, or March when y'all see this. But, so I might use like maybe this portion of the moon with the owl, but without the witch or the black cats or the Halloween greeting on it. But thinking about the maps, I realized that the back of an atlas I have has some information on the moon. So I've got some pictures here with the moon on them. So I don't know, I may use those somehow. I'm not sure yet. Then something that begins with M that is not moon or map. And y'all, I thought I was coming up with all kinds of things. I was like, well, I could use markers or magenta or even matte medium. All begins with M. Yeah. And I was thinking actually metal would be kind of neat. So this is a piece of metal ribbon. I've spray painted one side. So that could get brought into it, or some other metal piece. But monoprint. So jelly prints are a monoprint, which means it's a single print of something. So I pulled out some monoprints, some jelly prints for my M. So monoprint. That is an M, and I will use that as collage. And then for a star, y'all, I just pulled out these are some gold star stickers. That's it. Easy peasy. That's when I found my little sticker map. I was looking for gold stickers. So, yeah. And you can see here I've got a little canvas. I think this is probably 8x8 canvas that I want to work on. And the last thing I pulled out, y'all, I was looking for a very specific thing of paint, this, and I couldn't find it. This is a cobalt turquoise, Liquitex, everybody. Couldn't find it and realized that I have this beautiful palette here set up and ready to go. This was the palette I created for Care December from Everything Art. I never finished my Care December journal this year, but this palette is gorgeous. So I think I'm just going to try to work with it because these are colors that I really love. These like soft teal blues and gold with a touch of like a pinky peach. So, yeah, and that kind of goes with what I pulled together over here. We'll see. I am diving right in with the paints. That is, oh, y'all, I can't even think what that one's called. Sea Glass, I think, from Americana. And of course, I'm going to get it all over me. And then a dab or two of that cobalt teal. Is that what I said it was? I don't remember. And then I've got this like off-white, I think it's called Milky White or Milk White or something like that. But it's just basically an off-white. I could have used like maybe a Titan Buff as well. And you'll see I'm not being exact at all with it. I just kind of put them down. And now I have this silicone spatula from the dollar store that I am using to scrape all over my palette just to kind of blend those colors. I am also trying to make sure I get paint on the sides of the canvas so that this feels a little more finished when it's done. And I'll throughout the whole process I'll make sure that little things like go over the edges and whatever, just so that when this is hung up it feels finished. All right, so I am scraping that around. I'm starting to get low on the paint. I didn't want to add any more though because I was afraid that it wouldn't blend quite as well. So instead I'm going to grab a wet paintbrush that's just got some water on it and use that to help move some of this around. At some point in here I find that there's a hair. One of my hairs is, y'all, I lose hairs all the time, but I find a hair and I think things pause. But I'm gonna again go on the edges as well and blend that paint, and where the canvas curves as well, I'm trying to make sure that gets blended. You know, it created this really beautiful, I don't know, what do you call that color? Kind of a blue green. I love it. I'm really happy with that color. It was exactly what I envisioned when I was thinking about this. And I didn't really have a plan for this canvas at all. I basically, oh, is that where I'm starting to find things in it? All right, so I'm going to dry this. But like I said, I didn't have a plan of how I wanted this to look. The prompts definitely made you want to do like a celestial thing since it had moon and star on it. And map, you could have a map of the stars, you know, but I don't know, I felt like doing something a bit more abstract, so that is absolutely where I'm going. Now I've pulled in my acrylic matte medium, so there's another M, and the mono prints or jelly prints that I have, and I'm trying to keep kind of with the palette I have going on with those kind of blue greens. I'm sorry if y'all can hear the dog. I don't there's probably a squirrel or a bird or something outside. She has a quick trigger reflex. So, like I said, this is going to be super abstract. I wanted to make sure I didn't cover up all of that beautiful background that I created with the with the acrylic paints, because it's so nice. Yeah. So now I'm getting this collage down. You can see I'm using just a little silicone brush, and then I've got a just a scraping tool to flatten everything out. I think that was my biggest thing on this, because the canvas does give quite a bit. I was having a hard time rubbing that down. All right, I went through a couple of different papers. I thought, you see that one on the left, I thought, ooh, that would be really pretty. But it didn't quite stick in that color theme I wanted to stick in. So instead I went for this green one, which is like a truly grassy green. And I'll end up here in a little bit not really caring for that color. And so I'll do some things here to kind of push it back, because I wanted this a little more dreamy and ethereal feeling. Just, you know, because it does have that moon and the star kind of idea to it, and the grassy green it wasn't gonna work with that palette that I had going on. So once I get those down, I said, okay, let's go ahead and pull the map in here with the collage. And you saw I pulled that napkin out thinking, well, that could be kind of cool, but the yellow of it again just didn't kind of fit in with that theme I wanted. But the blue here in this map with a little bit of rust was perfect. So I'm tearing it down, and I'm going to start with that smaller piece. And you can see that I'm kind of putting all these collage elements together, like in groups, so that things feel a little connected. It's just a personal choice for me. I think this one I leave a little bit of space because I really like that torn edge on that jelly print. So I wanted to keep that kind of visible, but it's not really going to be visible in the end. And I'll spend a bit of time here kind of making sure everything is adhered nicely. I think I'm going to add some more of that matte. Like I said, pushing down on some of that stuff, and the canvas is so absorbent and all of that. It's a little more fiddly than it is in like one of my art journals where you're gluing paper to paper. I guess the acrylic paint probably helps some with to lessen the absorbency. And apparently my camera battery died there. So I am using this Amsterdam acrylic ink. It's a light yellow pink. I don't remember what it's called. I will put the name of it below, the color of it below. But I had just dripped some of it onto the canvas, sprayed it with water, and let it move around. And there you got to see me add just a little bit more. And while some of it was still wet, I've grabbed a bamboo skewer, and I'm just going to move some of that around just to get a little bit of texture and movement here in this. Everything feels kind of blocky and all of that. So I thought a little bit of movement could be fun. And over on that right side, I scraped right into it. I guess maybe that paint hadn't been dry. All right, so then I did dry that and decided to pull in the coffee. This is some instant coffee that I am reconstituting. I keep it in a little yogurt cup. Just a nice wet paintbrush, and I'll use that paintbrush to kind of help stir up that coffee, get it reconstituted. And you can see I'm going over that green monoprint there that I had that I just was not digging it. So this was my first step. And I'm going to, of course, splatter just to add some touches. I really love coffee splatters on things. So, and there in the middle, I'm connecting that coffee a little bit, trying to bring those two sections together so they don't feel so disjointed. And I also went over there on that left side on the edge, added some coffee there. Like I said, I'm trying to bring it around those edges. So I'm going to dry this real quick just for a second. That wasn't real long. And before it's all completely dry, I'll grab that sprayer again and spritz some water on the coffee areas. And in some cases that makes them dilute and run, and some of them are stay kind of where they are. But it was just kind of a neat little thing to add a little more, I don't know, drippy texture and all of that to it. So I've grabbed that milky white again, and there I'm going to go over, I'm just putting like a tiny little dab on my finger and go over that green paper because it just, it was standing out too much to me. And it's not that bad, but I think I just got it in my head that I needed to cover that up. So, and this adds just a little more lightness to the top of this, and I was good with that. So once that was done, I pulled out my stars. I clipped that there, y'all, because it took me forever to get that first star off of that sticker sheet. I don't know what was going on. And I decided to put it over there on the right side of the page. And the prompt is just a star. But since I had the three of them, I'll end up putting all three of them on this canvas. So, yeah. So I'm looking at my moons, and I could have gone with that big one, but it just felt too big for the size of this canvas. So I'm going to go with that smaller one. And I did look, I'm trying to remember how old this, the atlas I was using was from the 70s. I can't remember exactly. It could be 1970, could be 1974. I don't remember. It was somewhere in the 70s that this atlas was from. So it is definitely a vintage one. And I'm loving that moon, y'all. It looks so great. So I decided, because it is the moon, that it needs to go kind of in the upper portion of the canvas. But since I didn't completely fussy cut it perfectly, there's some of the white edge there, and I'm using Distress ink and walnut stain to kind of push that back and darken it up a little, and that kind of matches the coffee that's on there. And then I had to figure out which way was up, because there was a tiny bit of writing on it, but it was really hard to see, so I had to take a minute and look at it to figure out which way was up on that moon, and just put it down with that matte medium. I'm going to do a little bit of scraping, and that will pull some of that matte medium out and kind of reactivate the coffee in a few areas, but I'm not super concerned about that because that coffee is runny and goopy everywhere. So it's not a big deal. And that's where I decide to go ahead and start adding some more of those stickers because I wanted at least one of them to be touching that moon. So, yep, it's going to be this one that's going to go there. And I like the odd numbers. What is it they say about odd numbers draw the eye or more interesting or whatever. So I'll go ahead and use all 3 of them. And pick out a spot for number 3 there. And this is starting to look very interesting to me in here. The moon still looks like the moon. For the most part, that collage there on the bottom right kind of looks like mountains. But in some respects, the moon also kind of looks like a hot air balloon somehow. It's very kind of cool. Like I said, this is definitely an abstract piece, so it's one of those things that you can look at and get a different feeling for it. So I showed y'all there that I did buy some more gold Liquitex ink, but before I throw away the old one, I had to add some water to it. So I'm gonna get as much as I can out of that little jar before I use the new jar of acrylic ink in gold. But I'm splattering. You can see I got one big drop there on the moon, and I knew that trying to wipe it off would just make a bigger mess than I really wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it. And in my drying, I did knock it a little bit, and that's okay though. It's kind of, yeah. So I've got these words here that I think I got at like Hobby Lobby or something, and I went through them. And the first one I pulled out was Imagine, and I liked it a lot. For a second, I liked the Dream one as well, but I really liked the Imagine because, like I said, this kind of looks like it could be anything you could imagine just based on how you're looking at it. So I thought that would work, and I thought I was going to back it with some fabric. I'm not. You'll see what happens here. So I'm going to ink the edges of that word to try to push back some of the chipboard that are on the edges mostly, but it also gives it that nice rustic feel. So here's the fabric that I think I'm going to tear down, and in trying to decide where I trim off these fabrics that were hanging and push them to the side, and I was like, wait a minute, I could put that behind my word. So that's what I'm going to do. So I look at it for a little while and mess around with these threads that are just, they could be trash, but no, to me, they're going to be art. So yeah, like I said, I look at that for a little bit. I'm going to grab the Fabri-Tac I just recently bought and see how it does. And y'all, I've got to get used to working with this stuff because it dries a lot faster than some of the glues I'm used to working with. Here in a little bit, I'm going to basically glue my finger to some of those threads. Yeah, I got scared from it. That was going to mess this whole thing up. So I put my threads straight into that Fabri-Tac glue I put down, and then I'll put some more of that on the back of that little word. I'll end up adding some E6000 to the back of that as well. But here I start, is this where I add the E6000? I think so. Because I'm going to use a toothpick so I can get right behind where I need on that word. I brought in so many glues in here, it's kind of crazy. But I was having a hard time, I'm still not sure how well that that Fabri-Tac works. Sorry guys, my words are just not coming to me. So in messing with that, at some point here, I decide that I need to, that little piece of string was bothering me. So I'm going to put just a scoosh of the Fabri-Tac down and try to push it down with my finger right there. And y'all, that's where it was stuck. And I was like, oh no. And I had to use a pen to get it into the glue and off my finger. So that was exciting. And with that, this piece is done. I am absolutely in love with it. I hope y'all like it too. Like I said, nothing can top that Matchbox I just made, but I think this is a lot of fun. I want to thank the hostesses for these 4 weeks of amazing prompts. I always love the Seek, Gather, Create challenge. They should have another round of it in the summer, so stay tuned for that, and make sure you follow all 4 of them, as well as the @SeekGatherCreate handle on Instagram. Alright guys, if you like this, give me a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and I will see y'all very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.